Hello, everybody. Welcome back to GameDay Squad's Women's Aussie Rules live show. We are wrapping up this preseason with our last little bit of content, and I think we have saved the best for last. We're going to get into a content creator draft, and we're going to introduce special guest and host of the Free Kick podcast, Liam, mate. Welcome to GameDay Squad, and you're ready to rip in today and get drafted.
Yeah, for sure. I'm like, even though I've been doing a full preseason of content, I'm still keen to do more. I'm that kind of sicko at this stage, and yeah, keen to do a bit of a draft, kind of get my brain working a little bit. Did something similar on the podcast this week, but I'm all about it.
Beautiful. And of course, we are joined by my good friend and co-host in Bales, mate, as well. Are you ready tonight? Rip in, do a draft, and we're literally just 2 days away from the first bounce and getting back into this content of the season.
Yeah, mate. Looking forward to it. It's coming quick. It only feels like a few days ago where I was listening to the Free Kicks first preseason sort of club previews and stuff, and listen to all them now, and we're only a couple of days away. So yeah, really keen to it. I'll be heading down to Alberton as well on Saturday night to watch the showdown. So I'm really keen to watch some AFLW action and see a good Crows team. So yeah, hopefully the Crows can have another good year.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of preseason, Liam, mate, you've had a massive preseason. I'm sure a lot of people here would know, but now the official pod for AFLW Fantasy. How has that been? How's that adjustment been for you and your little squad you have?
Yeah, the four of us, it's been pretty surreal. Still doesn't feel quite right yet, but it's been a pretty cool opportunity so far. I haven't seen necessarily any of the downsides that come with the additional platform size. But from our end, at least, kind of the reason we got into talking about AFLW Fantasy and AFLW itself was to grow the platform and to be a resource for people that want to learn more. So however many people listen is always a benefit for us and a benefit for women's sport overall. And to be honest, like, if you're not playing, you're missing out. Like, it's so entertaining.
Couldn't agree more, mate. And we're going to get into this draft. But before we do, I like to do a little kickoff question. I like to get everyone's brains thinking, get the wheels churning. Bales, you've been a superstar.
Should have been the teacher, Tom.
Yeah, I know. I should have been. In another life, maybe. But this one, here for doing some fantasy content and over-analysing every player for every game that I ever watch. But here's my question to you, fellas, and I want you to answer it. If you could be a single person for one day and you can go back to any person at any point in this world's existence, who would it be and why? Tuffy, I'll go first because, of course, mine's going to be sport-related because I just can't get enough of it. I would love to be LeBron James for a day. If I could be anyone, just being that influential, that big of a person, and just everything he's been able to achieve. I just couldn't imagine being a LeBron for a day, and I would love to experience what that would even feel like. It'd be something else. Being that athletic as well, like just dunking all the time. Yeah. Anyway.
I reckon I've got an answer. And it's unfortunate you've nabbed MDA because I was already thinking that before you said it. But I actually think the player I'd most like to be is Wilt Chamberlain. Go back. If only because he was such an athletic freak, even by our standards. Like, he had an insane vertical, like high jump, world record levels of vertical and standing leap, playing against like blokes that are 3 inches shorter than I am. And just to be able to exist as that like physically dominant freak and just be able to completely obliterate the sport. That's the thing that I really want.
Oh, yeah. Love that. That's such a good pick.
Yeah. I've probably got two, but I'll go obviously the one. I'll go with Tom Brady. Sort of being a lower draft pick, I guess, not having the high expectations of being a top 10 draft pick and then sort of making your way through and becoming probably greatest ever in NFL sense. So I'll probably go with him, but Ronaldo's probably another shout for soccer as well, but I'll go Brady.
Bales, the fact that you've chosen Ronaldo and not Leo Messi, that's so many points lost.
I'm Man United fan, so I'm a Man United fan, so I have to pick Ronaldo. I've got to back my guy in, so.
Oh wow. Well, we all went sports there. Surprise, surprise, hey. And for everyone that's watching as well, we are giving away an all-star Kate Hall. And this is your last chance to put in a submission for Game Day Squad to snag that player card. All you need to do is leave a comment with your squad name during this live stream on one of our social platforms. So go over to YouTube, like the video or live whilst you're there. And we're going to draw the winner for this on Friday. So an all-star Kate Hall card is going out on Friday to one lucky coach, and this is your last chance to get a submission. The day for 2 legends. Oh, wow. Don't know if that happened. There we go. Anyway, let's get into the draft. This is what we're going to be doing today. I've got a little draft board that we've mocked up here, and Liam, we're going to give you the honours of the first overall pick. Bales, you're going number 2, and I'm the third of the snake going number 3. We're going to be drafting. So the rules are it's going to be a full squad that's on the field. So 6 defenders, 5 midfielders, a ruck, and 6 forwards. And once we have all of those positions locked in each, we will be able to conclude the draft and review who has maybe the best squad, who's done the best draft. So I think without further ado, this is going to be a goodie. It's going to be a bit of a long one. We'll talk through our picks as we go through. Liam, mate, if you want to start thinking about who you want for the first overall pick and talk us through your decision making.
I've already picked it. It's Noffy. We'll just get that one out of the way.
Yeah.
I don't think that that was ever going to take much time to decide. She's like as good a fantasy player as I can think of in Aussie rules. Both men and women, the ability for her to be a top 3 scorer over basically half a decade. And when you combine the fact that she came in as an underager in her first ever season, of AFLW, she's just literally killed every stat category. Freak. Don't expect anything different this year.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, mate. She's just on a whole nother level, honestly. Bales, you must love it. As a Crows fan, Noff, I know that it's, probably hurts.
When I got told I didn't have the number 1 pick, then I was like, yep, I'm not going to get Noffy, so...
Alrighty. Well, mate, it comes to you number 2. And what are we thinking?
Yeah, so I think that there's two standout options here. And I think I've got to go Jazz Garner, I think. There was another player in another position I was really tempted by. But I think I've got to go Jazz Garner just because I think her and Noffia, as we've seen, they're just they're levels above. So I'll go Jazz Garner. Awesome. Yeah, well, look, that's 1 and 2, I think, ranked for the season, right? I'm sure we're all maybe on agreement on that. No surprises there. But I have a feeling I might take the player that you were sort of tossing up between. I just think this person is such an influential player, and for how good they are and how much better they are than rank 2 last year for the exact same position, I think Bonnie Too Good is a must-take for me here on the turn. So if I'm not going to get one of the studs midfielders, I think I get the best forward and lock that up. Had an average of 120 last year. Second place was 102 at Kate Hall. So just absurd numbers, and expecting much of the same from her this year. She's so versatile and can play anywhere on the ground. And as a forward, I'm going to bloody love that and eat that up for sure. But I will go back to the midfielder. I'm going to go back to someone close to home as well. Let's go. Liam, I know you were massive on Laura Gardner last preseason, and I'm still big on her for 2024. She's going to have a huge campaign for the Swans. Her second season, cracked 130 average mark last year. And she's going to be just all over the ground for the Swans. And I expect much of the same from her. Beautiful. Well, for me, I'm actually glad you took Laura Gardner because I have to pick Charlie Rowbottom here at number. In my second pick, I just think that if anyone's going to close the gap, and I know Liam and the gang at Free Kick have been talking about this, that if someone's going to close the gap potentially on a Marinoff and a Garner, it could be a Charlie Rowbottom. I think she's in for a big year as well, so I'll go her with my second pick. Yeah,
I think Charlie Rowbottom is the one player at the moment that I think can hit the level that Garner and Noffy can hit. I think the fact that Gold Coast are missing Ali Drennan, Maddie Brancatisano is injured, they don't have another, ready-made midfielder to compete with the likes of her, Single, and Whitford. And you combine that with the fact that she's she's only in her fourth season, and she's already showing this kind of capability. I can't imagine what an additional off-season is going to do for her endurance. And she was already a bit of a titan in staying on field. And if she can take that up another 2 or 3%, she did on the year prior, it's another stack of scoring. She's a freak.
100%. Yeah, for sure.
I'm disappointed, but not surprised that Charlie Rowbottom has not come back to me here. But that does mean that I get to take one of my favourite players in Ash Riddell. She is, her and Laura Gardner are cut from a very similar cloth in the way that they play footy. They absolutely dominate the pill, have a pretty unique ability to kick the ball away from a stoppage and still rock up for the clearance, feels like 2 seconds later. So I am I'm very happy to have come away with that. And then, got a bit of a tough one here. I think I'm going to go with Kate Hall to lock up my F1, give myself a bit of a gap on the other forward options. I love the pick of Bonnie Toogood on the turn. I think that's the way to play. So I'm going to try and do something with the turn for me.
Bales, a little bit of sadness there. I could feel that come out of you. Is that what you were looking at?
Yeah, I was definitely looking at Kate Horrors as someone I was going to look at going. But I'm going to actually continue the midfielders, and I'm actually going to go with Mon Conti as my third pick. I think that Isla Sheeran being in the midfield there, Grace Egan, a few extra bigger names to help Mon Conti in there, I think will be good, and I think she'll take another step up again. I'm happy to have her as my third midfielder.
Wow. No surprises. All-star campaign last year for Mon Conti. Absolute jet as well. And, look, she's the number one mid for Richmond and is most likely going to continue to do that, especially in terms of fantasy score and output. You put me in a bit of a hole because I was actually sort of hoping that Conti was going to – I think you were going to sway then, but you didn't. You went straight back to the midfield. I am tossing up between doing something a little outrageous and not. I've got the back-to-back, so let's do it. Okay. I'm going to go with a new defender in GameDay Squad for this season. Let's go Tilly Lucas-Rod from Hawthorn. She, depending on what role it is, I know it's a little bit risky, but 10 games last year had an average score of 98 fantasy points per. Look, if we had the positions from last year, this year, she would have finished her campaign as the number one defender. So I'm hoping that I've sort of locked up the number one defender and number one forward, for the season that is about to come. And then the next pick I'm going to take, and I love. Someone just commented. They read my mind.
Yeah, there we go.
I had a feeling you're going to pick.
Yeah, Tilly Lucas-Rod. And let's go Ali Morford. Let's get the ruck spot down packed. Look, injury is definitely a concern for her. I know last year she spent a bit of time on the pine, but when she was playing, she was so unbelievably good. I just think it's a must-take for me in this position here. She had an average of 106 fantasy points per game, and no other ruckman even cracked the 90 fantasy point mark. So in terms of the differential there as well, like Too Good, not as good as Too Good, not that 20-point buffer, but still a nice, juicy 13-point buffer to second place. And if she can stay healthy this year and play it out for the Swans, she will finish, in my opinion, this season as the number one ruck. So I'm pretty happy with that. I didn't think I was going to do this heading into the draft, but I'm sort of happy this is all slid to me. Hopefully I'm causing a bit of chaos for you too.
I think it's a classic turn on the play on the turn is you bank top scoring options at the non-standard positions, particularly for AFLW, where there's a top tier of midfielders, and then there's a real mix in that 10% below area. I don't mind it as a play.
100%, yeah, agree with that.
Beautiful. Well, I'm actually going to go the number one scoring defender this season, coming season. I'm going to be going with Isla Sheeran. I think moving to the midfield for her this season, whether or not it's full-time or if it's even just a bit of a split. But I expect a fair bit of mid-time for Eilish, and I think she'll go well. So I'm going to pick her as my first defender.
Interesting. Interesting. I do wonder. I'm big on what Isla Sheeran can do this year, and I just hope that if she moves into the midfield, it results in some wins for Richmond early on in their season, so that the role sticks. But I'm not going to be surprised if there's a bit of chopping and changing in midfield percentages, just because they're now trying to fit in Sheeran and Mackenzie alongside Egan, and then Sarah Hosking, who's currently injured, but will likely have some kind of midfield role. But yeah, I'm hot on Isla Sheeran being the number one scorer in the official platform this year, and she's got a very kick-dominant game, so I can't imagine it'll be any different.
Absolutely. Yeah, and she knows how to get her hands on the footy. And even as a defender last year, she had such a spectacular season. So I don't think there's much risk there. Bales, love the pick. Liam, it comes to you here. You've got the back-to-backs. How are we thinking? You got Noff, secure number one. What's the strategy from here on out?
Yeah, this is a really interesting one for me. So just remind me again, how many have I got in each position? I've got
six forwards, 6 defenders, 5 mids, and 1 ruck. So I've locked up my ruck. I don't have to touch that position again.
6 def, 5 mids, 1 ruck.
Correct. We're going to starting 18.
Yep. All right. So in that case, I'm going to go with interesting. I am going to take, with my first pick, I'm going to double up on Gold Coast Suns, and I'm going to pivot. I'm going to take Ellie Blackburn. I was considering Claudia Whitford, and I flipped it across to Ellie B.
She was one I was hoping was going to be under the blanket of mids that was going to be in a couple of rounds that I might be able to pick up, but no, I like the pick.
And then I'm going to swing back around and take Gemma Horton as my second forward on the turn.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Sorry, Bales, you're getting played here by 2 people on the turn and you're stuck in the middle, mate.
This is why I hate doing drafts with people that know what they're doing. Like, I like when I'm in drafts when
so you like being idiots. Good. You love punching down. Well done.
At least you're honest. I respect it.
Yeah. Well, in that case, it probably made the decision a little bit easier, but I would have taken Gemma Houghton for anyone that didn't see my reaction on the video. But I'll go another forward and continue my Richmond flavour. That's now 3 Richmond players in a row, but I'll go Katie Brennan as my forward. So obviously the forward's getting a bit thinner after those first few are gone. So I want to lock up at least a very good forward there in Katie Brennan, who I think with a good start for Richmond's season. Hopefully injury-free for Katie this season. Hopefully we'll have a good year.
Yeah, nice. No complaints there. Definitely one of the top forwards. I know in my rankings, I think I had her at 4th. I think you had her at 5th, Bales. So it was about neck and neck, very close, or maybe it was 5th and 6th. But yeah, I'm expecting an all-star season from Katie Brennan this year. So making the best 7 forwards in terms of fantasy, and good pick to wrap up. But I'm a little surprised. I don't know whether you're baiting me to go for it. I sort of thought Hatchart was going to go off the board then. I thought you were going to go to one of your crows.
I've got 3 mids already, mate. I need to...
Yeah, true. You did go mid-heavy early. Okay, well. Let's keep doing some curveballs. I'm going to get Charlotte Thomas, the defender for West Coast. She's just stud. Just how good she was last year, how good I think she's going to be again this year. West Coast are going to depend on her to be good. I know her averages last year were really tidy. She had an average of 87 fantasy points per game with 13.8 kicks. So I do see much of the same bulk amount of disposals, a lot of those being kicks because her kick to handball ratio is just awesome. And with that buffer of points on top, like absolutely taking that. And that'll be my second defender. So I've gone early with defenders, but I think I need to get a midfielder now because there is a little bit of a drop. And I'm going to go with Claudia Whitford. Liam, you spoke about her as being sort of the option. I guess I maybe sort of agree with you. I would have gone Blackburn over Whitford head-to-head, but to get Whitford at this point in the draft, having a look at some of the mids and some of the guns that have already come off the board, average of 116 last year, had her ranked within the top 10 mids. So I'm going to go there. Whitford, I do love it. That's going to go up.
I think if anyone plays like kind of, similar style of Amon Conti in the way that she moves out of stoppage. I'd say Claudia Whitford is the number one comparison.
Skip, bringing up Goldsworthy, bit of a slide. Is she sliding in rank? Have you given Bale some inspiration to head here as a midfielder this year, though? So a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, I won't be going for Goldsworthy, even though I think she'll have another strong year. But you did allude to her name. I'm actually very glad that you didn't take her with last pick. I can't go through a draft without having a Crows player on my team. It will be Anne Hatchard. I just think that she's fallen too far. Like, she had a down year last year, had a couple of injured affected games against the Bulldogs. I think Brisbane, she might have copped a knock in the face or something, got like a blood nose or something like that. And she was still carrying a little bit of a knock in that game. I expect her to bounce back up to one of those top I've got her ranked as the number 7 midfield. And I think she's easy, could finish as top 5. So I'll lock her in.
Nice.
Yep, that's a good call there, Bales. All right, so I am coming back up now. I've locked in how many midfielders I've gone: Ellie B, Noffy, and Riddell. Now I'm in a little bit of an interesting spot.
2 forwards, no defenders yet.
How but I feel like the defenders, there's a lot really clumping in that high 70s, low 80s area. Yeah, and I feel like if I can nab a couple of those, I'll still feel comfortable. All right, I think there's no value in me going a ruck at this stage because I just don't feel like I'm going to get sniped. And I've got at least 2 or 3 that I'm comfortable with. Interesting.
That is true. Like, do you just sleep on ruck? And is that almost your last pick at this point? Because
I'm punting. I think if it was double rucks, I might consider going one here. But I think because I don't, I'm going to go with my 4th midfielder. Really lock up some points. I'm going with Georgie Prespakis.
I like it.
And that means as well, I've got another pick. Now, Bales has taken Charlie Thomas. I think I'll lock up my first defender and I'll go with the prototype veteran, Emma Carney.
Yeah. Had a feeling you might go there.
Veteran, it's definitely the way to describe her. But gosh, she's just all reliable. Just every game, you just know she's going to get hands on the footy, score fantasy points. It is so safe to just put in your defending group every week, every round.
And I think if you're looking to kind of see why North are such a difficult team to score against, I think they're the best defense last year. So much of it comes down to Emma Carney just stands there and points, says, "Go there." When the ball is in someone's hands, she's just screaming, telling him where it needs to go. I think she sets up every switch that they do. And I know that doesn't generate fantasy points for her herself, but that North team, if they're going to win a premiership, Emma Carney's going to have a huge hand in it, even though at her age, there are a lot of AFLW players who've already retired.
Yep.
100%. Yeah, great.
With mine, I'm going to continue the defence run we might be starting here, and I'm going to go with Ruby Slisher, expecting bounce back here after a couple of injury-affected seasons. So I'll go her as my second defender.
Nice. You've been bigger for her in the preseason, Bales. I know you're saying that you're expecting some big things, and that last year definitely wasn't the year that she was looking at, with the injury and whatnot. But this year's had a full preseason under her belt. She's looking ready to come back and dominate for Collingwood, and they definitely could use someone like her back down there, just her experience and ball skills. I am not going to let her slide anymore. I don't think that Zali Goldsworthy is going to be a player that every week you should have in your squad, but her upside is undeniable. And when she can dominate a game and she can get on her role and get in that groove, there might not be another player that has more upside than her, maybe other than Noff. I know in GameDay Squad last year, out of the top 5 highest scores scored by individuals in a game, she had 2 of them locked up at 192 pieces of that. Just her goal-kicking ability, her ability to also play in the midfield with clearances. loves to get the ball in the boot, high disposal count. I'm taking Zali Goldsworthy. And of course, I know this isn't a dynasty draft, but she is a dynasty asset and a half to have. And then after that, I'm going to go with, let's do it. Let's go double mids. I'm going to go with the other Prosparkas, sorry. Maddie Prosparkas is coming to my squad. That'll be my fourth mid, so I only have one more to draft, but just safe as chips. She finished last season on fire as well. 114 average, and I just think you can just, she's so good. 13 handballs, 13 kicks per game, and 5 tackles. Just knows how to get her hands on the footy and knows how to be involved in sort of all elements of the game. So very good scorer with a very good floor.
Yep, like it. I'm going to be going back to the forward line, and I'm going to be going with Courtney Hodder as my second forward. I think she'll see a bit of an uptick in midfield usage throughout the year, especially, I know that obviously, Liam, you've chatted about it a lot, especially with that harder run early on for Brisbane. I think with their pressure around the footy, a lot of tackles, and as Mel likes to say, we love tackles for fantasy. So, yeah, I'll be going with Courtney Hodder, my second forward.
Yeah, it's not a bad pick. All right. I'm also thinking I might like a forward, and it's a tough mix this year. I reckon I'm going to go with Anya Tighe. Really just lock in some consistency in my forward line. I've got a very old forward line by comparison, but definitely like the idea of locking up some scoring. And Tighe is such an important piece for Freo. I'm not going to turn it down. I don't know if I love it on other platforms because she's, doesn't get that same boost from kicking and goals. But GameDay Squad, yeah, it's a solid pick for me. I'm comfortable with it.
Oh, man. I actually think that's a little bit of a slide. She's one of the players sort of like Goldsworthy where, she has a big day. It just amounts to a lot of fantasy points, especially with the buffer and points of goals and kicks here on GameDay Squad. Mate, that's definitely someone I was considering, and I'm really upset that that's not going to come back to me because the forwards are really thinning out. As you spoke about with the defenders, there's a good chunk sort of in that middle section, but those forwards, you got those top ones, and then it really seems to be the random mix in the bag here. But you've got back-to-back, Liam. How are you feeling?
All right. I'm feeling pretty good, to be honest. And I may... all right, I'm going to go with another forward just because I think I want to nab another one that I feel good in seeing some improvement. That's Eden Zanker. I think without Taylor Harris in the forward line, I think she will see a bump in her goal kicking. Now, I don't think Melbourne are going to be as good this year, but Kate Hall spending more time in the midfield, and if Taylor Harris is down back, definitely feel like Eden Zanker will see some more goals, or at least a better share of goals. Beautiful.
Well, I'll keep the Melbourne forwards going, and I'll go with Taylor Harris as my other forward. So playing in defence, I think that, she'll have a bit of an uptick in scoring. Might struggle. We obviously don't know if she will play round one or not. Obviously having a couple of injuries there, but I just think with the lack of forwards, I think she'll be good regardless if she misses a game at the start. So I'll go Taylor Harris.
Nice, Bales. I wanted to go forward, but then I don't want to get sucked into drafting forwards and not looking at value. So I'm going to try to turn a blind eye for a little bit, although it stings. Why don't we go with Madison Newman? I'm going to do it. Let's lock up Maddie Newman for me here in this spot. I've got the back-to-back, so I can be a little bit strategic, but I think this is going to be the play for me. 10 kick average last year, 6 handballs, and, pretty tidy score of 80 fantasy points per game. So I'm happy with it, but my next pick, I'm not exactly sure. I don't double up, do I? Surely not. No. Oh, this hurts. I need to get a forward. Okay, let's get a forward. I'm going to go with... Let's go... Mariana Anthony. That is exactly who I'm going to go with in this spot. I'm taking her in the forward line. Forward this year. Had the position change. 73 fantasy point average from last year. hoping there's a little bit of upside there. Could definitely play some time in the middle, and we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But okay, I'm happy with that. Got a defender, got a forward. Let's go.
Beautiful. I'm going to go back to defence, and I'm going to be going the ever reliable Emma O'Driscoll, who had a very, very good season last year, and as the main distributor out of that Freo backline, I think she'll have a good year. So I'll go with Emma O'Driscoll.
Yeah, fantastic pick.
Yeah, very, very solid Bales. I'm going to double up on defenders here, and I'm going to go with Karen Peterson for one. Just feel like there's a real black hole in experience in that Carlton defensive line, particularly with Lala Wifi leaving. And there appears to be, at least in the preseason, a subtle game plan shift at Carlton to see some more kick mark ball movement, which was really missing at times last year.
Yes.
And even though she's older, I feel like for a one-season play, I'm perfectly happy doing it. And the other player I want to pick up is my favourite player to watch, my favourite defender to watch, and that's Tani Evans. It's a hope and a pray.
That's
a real big. I feel like the potential is for her to be the best defender in the game, both in a real football sense and then in a fantasy sense. Up until it was only this year only this year was her 2 kilometre time trial record broken, and I'd be comfortable in saying she's one of a handful of players who can kick the ball 55 metres plus and hit a target. So I think the potential is always there, and I'm happy to take a stab on that, even if GWS drive me mad.
I was just about to ask you about that, Liam.
I won't go into it. I'm sure if you've heard me speak before, you've heard about my frustration with GWS, but that's a very, very talented football team that does not win.
Oh, yes. I can 100% agree with that. It can get frustrating for sure.
It's up to me now. Oh, yeah.
No. Is it back-to-back?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I did do the back-to-back.
Yes, Peterson into Evans, of course.
Yeah, just on the screen threw me off with Tanya's being on the other side. So I will go with, okay, so I've got a few forwards, a few defenders. I might go another defender, I reckon. There's a couple of defenders I do like at this spot. But I'm actually going to go with Elizabeth Georgia-Stathis, I reckon. And she had a strong end to the year last year, and I think Dogs are going to struggle a little bit this year, and I think there'll be plenty of ball back there for Georgia-Stathis, so I'll go with her. Tom, you want to try and say her last name?
Goodness, no, I don't really want to. I'm going to make a fool out of myself, mate. Alrighty.
What is going on there? It sounds like a horror movie in the background.
Oh, there's something clearly going on outside my front window.
Alrighty. Where do I go from here? Good picks. Wow. Lot of defenders coming off the board there. I have 3. I still need to get 3 more. So it is a little bit concerning in terms of my draft strategy. I can't lie. I do think one thing that's important to note in drafts is it's hard when you get thrown off a little bit, but you definitely need to have a game plan and try not to get sucked into other people reaching on particular picks and just go for value. And it's definitely the hardest thing. Tom's stalling more than Bales. Okay.
Yeah, and just for reference, I got told before the bloody pod, Tom's like, I know how Bales is, and I'm not the one stalling. Come on, Tom.
Alrighty, let's go first one. Dakota Davidson. Let's get another forward. 78 fantasy points per game. Really big goal kicker, and we just know that when she's having a day, it can be fantastic. We saw the end of last season for her. She was just on fire. Looked like she was scoring a bag every game. After that, I'm going to go with... Oh, do I go? So 3. Let's do it. Let's go Kirsty Stratton from Hawthorn. Another forward. I'm going back-to-back forwards here. I'm now at 4. 4 forwards, 3 defenders, 4 mids. So I've got a couple more holes to fill across my squad and my in my picks, but I'm pretty happy with how it's going so far. But I definitely need to look for some value here coming off the back of Bales and the back-to-back of Lamb.
All right, so I've got 4 defenders, 4 midfielders, 3 forwards. I reckon I'm going to. I'm going to go for another. Actually, I'm going to go for another. No, I'll go forward. I'll go Chelsea Randall in the forward line. I think she's fallen a bit too far, and I think she's going to be good.
That was the pick that was happening, and we knew of before the draft even started.
I think in a forward line where there's not many options, I just think Chelsea Randall's always. We're saying about Emma Carney's always reliable. I think Chelsea's always reliable as well, but not the same. Probably.
Yeah. What kind of reliability is she going to have, Bales? Where's she going to play? Tell me what position she's playing in a month from now.
No idea.
Yeah, exactly.
She'll find the ball wherever she is. So hopefully, Hopefully, I don't think she'll play deep forward where she did struggle to score last year. I think with Caitlin Gould there, Eloise Jones, we know Danielle Ponta plays CBAs, then goes forward. I still think she'll see a bit of midfield time, but maybe a bit more in defence. Maybe even like something like a wing. I don't know. But yeah, as you said, Liam, who knows? Could play in the right.
Yep, for sure. All right, I'm up now. I am going to go with 2 players that, again, have just kind of been left there because they're not the most flashy. I'm going to go Chantel Emmenson, who has an incredible run and is the best kicking taker in the comp. She plays on from literally every single one. Cannot ask for anything more in a game that values kicking. And then I'm going to pick up the highest averaging forward left, and that's Jack Tapai. I think Gold Coast are going to be better this year.
I knew I forgot forward. Yeah.
Sorry, Bales. Yeah. You gotta make sure you keep track of who you picked and who's picked what. I'm very happy with those ones.
Nice, very nice. Bales, back to you here, mate.
Alrighty, I am going to go with. All right, I'm just having a look at who's still left on the board.
There's a couple.
There's just a few
players left.
Yep. There's just a few.
We're getting in your head. Is this getting in your strategy?
Are you sure you're confident on your pick, Bales? Do you know who you're going to pick?
This is people just
the mind games.
Alrighty, I'm going to go in defence, and I'm going to go for.
Don't do it.
Daisy Darcy.
Yeah, Dizzy.
Yeah, she's and I've been hearing. Well, Liam, you probably speak more to this, but there's been obviously with Katie Lynch and that there's probably a bit more chance she could play a bit more that distributor on instead of being locked down deep in defence.
Yeah, she did get pulled to play deep in defence last year, actually as a ploy from other teams. So I think it might have even been the game against Richmond where that happened. But I do actually think it's more once the ball leaves their 50, watching her in the practice game, I saw more of her work up near the half forward line, all the way up the ground. Now, it's against the Western Bulldogs, who I think will be the spooners this year. But I think Dizzy Darcy is someone that has the kick and the kind of ability around the ball that there's definitely, 10, 15 points improvement at some point for her.
Yeah, nice. Well, I've already know which ones I'm going to go. So I'm just going to go bang, bang here. Ali Anderson. Let's get my last mid.
Good pick. Like that one.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of a slide. Look, really good floor. 115 fantasy points per game. I think it's pretty safe. Doesn't really have the same boom potential as some of those top mids that we're talking about, but it's just really reliable. Can put into your midfield and you can just sort of trust. She'll go out there, do your thing. And Ella Heads. Let's go with the Swanee. Bales, I know you like to draft your crows. I like to put my Swans goggles on at times and pick my Swannies. So let's go my second or third one for this draft and get Ella Heads in my defense. She had a really strong, fantastic finish to last year. I think she started taking a little bit more of the kick-in duty roles as well. So if we can see that being maintained through this season upcoming, then that floor and that sort of potential that she has could be a lot more than the 78 she had from 2023 and could see her crack into the 80 mark, which would get her into a pretty elite group of defenders for the season.
Beautiful. Well, that made my. I was looking between two mids. Alianza is one of them, so I'll go the other one I was looking at, and I'll go Elise Parker. There, I think that she'll be in for a big season. Hardly comes off the ground as well, which is always a big positive. And I think that with Zali Goldsworthy in there as well, with a bit of help and a few other mids to help out Parker this year, I think she'll have another good season. So I'll have her to round out my midfield.
Love your work there, Bales. What you have done, though, is you've allowed me to fully punt my midfielders. So thank you for that. Because that means you've now got 4 or 5?
I got 5. My mids are done now.
Oh, well, how handy is that? Thanks, Bales. That's really helpful. All right. You're just getting bodied here, mate. I'm sorry. I'm going to go with another defender. I'm going to take Beck Webster, who I think might see some more midfield time this year and also plays for Geelong, so therefore has that great defensive run. She looked incredible at the back end of last year, particularly that final against Essendon, where I thought would have said she was best or second best on ground. Now, that leaves me with a choice. I can... Ooh, there's some toughies here. I've just got so many options that I could pick from. Do I want to finish my forward line? I'll get closer to it. Well, I'm going to continue. Actually, I don't know if I love that. Actually, no. I think I'm going to go with it. I think I'm going to go with it because I think she's going to play ruck. I am going to take Jackie Parry in my final forward because I don't think Lily Pearce is going to be particularly good this year. Geelong have literally 0 rucks, and I think Jackie Parry spends time playing in the ruck as well as playing forward. Experienced player, can kick a few goals. I think I am now pretty happy with my my forward line. It's very big, it's very tall, but I'm pretty confident in it.
Beautiful. I'm going to pick another forward here, another Crows player. No shockers, but I'm going to go with who I think could be the leading goal kicker in the AFLW this year, and that is Caitlin Gould, who will also get a little bit of ruck time as well, chopping out Jess Allen.
Nice.
Solid.
I thought you were going to do that. I was looking at the board.
Well, you thought right.
I did. Let's go for myself. Let's get another forward. I'm going to go Rebecca Privatelli to start it off. Average of 70 last year. That's a forward. So I've got 2 defenders to go, 1 forward to go, and I'm going to go to the defense for this pick. Picked. I'm going to go with a bit of a stack, let's call it, of West Coast defenders. Let's go Belinda Smith. That's exactly what I'm going to do. 71 fantasy points there. Got the stack, of course, got Thomas before earlier in this draft, same position. But Smith, she started 2023, fantastic. Slid a little bit off by the end, and her average definitely took a bit of a hit. But there's definitely a role there. And if that's sort of her floor, then I'm pretty optimistic that this late in the draft to get that sort of production, I'm very happy with that.
Beautiful. I reckon I'm going to go into defense, I think. And I'm going to go with, I'm actually a little bit, she's still on the board here. I'm going to go with Gabby Newton as my final defender.
Nice, interesting pick. We've talked about how bad the forwards are, and you've picked the one defender who will be a forward.
There's a few defenders on the list, but I think she's probably... Oh, actually, no. I don't know if I can
Bales, that pick is
in.
That pick is so in.
Well, that's fine. I don't mind having Gabby Newton rounding out my defence. I still think she'd be solid regardless. But there was another defender I don't mind, but don't mind.
Well, I've now got the ability to take my final defender and also take my ruck. So I am going to go with, I'm surprised she hasn't gone, and that's Jess Fitzgerald, who will be the new kick-in taker down at the Western Bulldogs. She took every single one in the Pracky match. I think this is a former midfielder who's got pretty solid skills, decent turn of pace. I think she could be an 80 averaging defender. And then I also get to sell my ruck, and I'm going to go with someone who, if you could say she's like anyone in the AFLW who's already playing Sally Morfitt, it's Matilda Schultz, who I'm going to take as my ruck this season.
Nice.
Don't mind it.
First year campaign last year, gosh, she was impressive. Hey, she was just
she just showed like she looked like a second or third year player. The way that she was able to move and not be bodied in the toughest position to avoid that happening.
Beautiful. Well, I will go and probably round out my forward line. There's a couple of players I don't mind to round out. Obviously, there's not as many forwards left on the list now. I might go for a bit of an upside play just because I know she does love a tackle, and I'll go for Nikki Xenos to round out my forward line, I reckon.
Nice.
Solid.
Alrighty.
I was thinking about another Crows player, but I thought I can't go triple Crows in the forward line, can I? So, yeah.
Well, I don't know. It depends what type of year.
Would be on brand.
Maybe the ball will never leave the forward 50, and it was the player.
Yeah.
But all right, these are my last two picks here. So I am going to go first of all. I'm just going to go a little bit of boom and bust. Let's go Jade Ellinger first of all as my last defender. And then I've got one more forward to take as well. And if I'm not mistaken, Jessie Wardlaw has not been taken. And that is exactly who I'm going to take in that final spot.
Solid.
And that will wrap up my draft.
Cool. Well, for my final pick, I'm going to go in the ruck, and I'm going to go with who I think will be one of the top few scoring rucks in the comp, and that is Alice Edmonds.
Solid. I think she's got another level to her. She's improved each of the last 3 years.
I know Bailey, you were quite high on her, so I'm actually surprised that she almost came all the way down here. You didn't sort of reach. Was it the strategies sort of punt?
My strategy was always going to be my last pick would be the ruck because there's only 3 of us, and I thought, well, just get all the other positions sewn up, and I'll guarantee myself one of a couple of rucks I like. So that was always the plan.
Fair call. Well executed, mate. And Liam, mate, final pick, the lucky last tip.
Yep. All right. I am going to go with a player that was integral to my first ever season of AFLW fantasy, way back when it was the first season of Moreira's Magic, and that is Emily Bates. Nice. As my final midfielder. I do think there is going to be a shift in game plan at Hawthorn from something prehistoric to something modern and crisp and kick mark. Not if you don't tackle 47 times per game, you're dropped. We know that Batesy can score as an uber primo when she plays in that kind of team. She's coming, like the coach she's got was her coach at Brisbane. I've got high hopes for Batesy this year.
Very, very nice.
Now, question, if there's a player that I want to add that hasn't been picked yet, can I make a change to one pick?
There's no waivers here, unfortunately, mate. You've locked in your squad. Your squad's been
if this was like an NFL draft where the teams get the finalised and you can go the waiver wire, I would probably go and drop Gabby Newton because probably didn't quite probably should have thought more about the role, and I'd replace her with Nat Ryder. That would be who I'd pick.
Okay.
Interesting.
Good to know. Well, everyone, that wraps us up. Firstly, so in the comment section right now, I want you to let us know. Give us your 3, 2, 1s between us. Who would have taken the cake? Which squad are you rolling with? Who do you think had the better draft? Who made some better decisions? And who would you feel more comfortable with backing in if our 3 squads were meant to go head to head for this entire season? And I think it's a bit of fun. Maybe we'll keep a track record of this, and we'll see at the end of the year who came out on top. Who would have, if we set and forget all of our 18 starters, would have finished the season with the number 1 rank out of the 3. But do you reckon there's anyone that wasn't drafted, like someone like Brianna Davey, considering how good to the start of her last year was? It's a surprise. It's only a surprise because of how well she started her 2023 campaign, but I can completely understand why we've sort of excluded her out of the top 15 midfielders, let's call it, in the draft. Is there anyone else that comes to mind you think maybe should have been drafted?
It's not so much as should have, but I would have said that Britt Benici was definitely a player I would consider in something deeper. And also the same goes for Mia King. I think she's a future superstar if she isn't already breaking out at the end of last year.
Yeah, there's a couple of mids that I also, surprised that probably did get drafted, obviously, just with the three people. But Amy McDonald being one, just sort of just always reliable for Geelong. And then also Ella Roberts, who played a bit forward in the practice game. But I think that, could have a good year. And obviously won the top dynasty assets as well.
Yeah, it's tough. Having Ella Roberts in the forward line last year was just so amazing. Hey, such a luxury to have, but we never know. She might be back in the forward line at some point, or she just dominates in the midfield for West Coast. Then maybe she creeps up these ranks and we look at 2025 and her life completely different. But that was a little bit of fun, boys. The next show, Bales, we're back on tomorrow night, round 1. And of course, the free kick guys as well. They're on tomorrow. They're doing their round 1. They're getting ready to set their winning squads for the campaign. Mate, Liam, where can everyone find you, all the amazing things that you do to get up to scratch?
Yep, absolutely. So you can find me on Twitter at LiamAFLW Fantasy, and you can find the podcast kind of on all of the major platforms, as well as on Twitter and Instagram at FreeKickWPod. And then myself and Jono have been writing articles all through this preseason for the AFLW website. So you can find that at the AFL Fantasy Hub, as well as just through the newsfeed. We've been pumping out an article basically every 2 days, so you'll definitely see a bunch there. And then, as you said, we'll be doing a live space. We're going to do a bit of a strat discussion and also just run through the teams that have been selected and gear everyone up for, T minus 48 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, man, I can just feel it already. I am so pumped. But as he said, go to Twitter, or X is now called now. Liam at Free Kick. Give him a follow. Go to the Free Kick podcast as well. Make sure you're following all the stuff. They are just on top of everything. And definitely, if you want to win and dominate this fantasy season, you're definitely going to want to go over there and check out all the amazing work they do. But Bales, we're going to be here tomorrow night. Our squad reveals. We're going to be getting ready for the season. I can't wait. So make sure, same time, sort of, or 7 p.m., but same place, whether you're in YouTube, X, or Facebook. We will see you then. We can't wait for the season that's about to start. And, if there's any final comments, boys, are we ready to rumble? Sign out.
Looking forward to it.
Awesome.
All righty. Cheers, fellas.